Hello, everyone. Today is the first XL cast of the year. My name is Marcus Medina, and I am the writer and creator of Iscariot. Anyways, I hope everyone is enjoying their holiday, and I wish you all a great new start on the calendar. It's now 3:06 p.m. in South Korea, and I live in Cheongju right now. It is January 2nd, 2016. I mean, I would have done this earlier, but I was busy resting and, you know, uh, trying to relax and get the stuff off my mind that's been in there that should have be in there. I can't talk right now. But anyways, I want to talk about the highlights of the Internet Insights of 2015 as they are important to me and the growth of my story. So, you're probably wondering, why is he talking about this? Well, the answer is simple. I'm far away from United States. And it seems that the internet is the primary platform of communication when it comes to promoting my book. So when I go out, at least out and about or whatever, I'm sure to answer the frequently asked questions from the native Koreans here or wherever I'm traveling. Whatever they're asking the foreigners, usually it's what do you do? I'm going to reply with I am a writer, author, creator. And this gets people interested in my work. They usually become curious and then they ask me, what is it? And then I tell them. So they're just like, oh, okay, whatever. So, of course, I tell them that I'm also teaching in Korea, and that I'm also a veteran. It just depends on the situation. So, those things are pretty natural nowadays, and I have to get used to that because usually people ask me, what do I do? And I just go right into whatever I'm actually supposed to be doing here. But, the best thing to do is whatever you want to be, just say it out loud first. If you're running for office, the first thing you want to do is say, I'm a politician, or I'm running for mayor, even though you're not a mayor, you know, even though you're probably getting ready to start running for mayor, whichever one it is. So, what does that mean is, I guess, like I said, it gets people into what you want to do, and some people just like that you're more than just a writer. I mean, I find myself to be pretty important too. So, I mean, I'm my own celebrity, I guess, my own idol. And I also know that I must make an impact, so that is the way that I feel that I have to do it, and that's what I'm going to do. So, enough about me though, because I already talked about a lot of the stuff about me and through my friends through the last XL cast. So, I'm going to talk about you and your impact on me and Iscariot. So, as I said before, I'm going over the insights of 2015 and I'm going to also talk about the final download counts. So, first, let's talk about the web visits and a little bit about Facebook. Okay. Um, in 2013, the United States topped as the most frequently visitor of my website, iscariot.com, with 208 visits. Okay, I mean, at that time, there weren't a lot of viewers. The majority of the audience were receiving information because, in the United States, because I'm from there, and most of my friends that understood me were pretty much the only ones that were visiting. So, before, there were no attempts to reach anybody globally. I mean, I didn't really try to, you know, reach out to other people in other countries. I didn't even really bother telling random people in Korea, "Oh, I'm a writer." I mean, it's whatever. So there was little activity on the site, and I didn't really have much of any other like avenue for downloading my material. I just threw whatever I could online as far as pictures are concerned and everything. So I had a few people like download some images and put it on their phone, and then they'll send me a message back like, "Yo, I got your character on my screen," and that's good because like what it does is when other people see your screen, they're like, "Oh, who is that?" I kind of wish though that it is that or that it was common for people to walk around and just be like, "Oh, my friend is making this. My friend made this," and then like some other people would be like, "Okay," or I mean that's okay too. But I mean, it'll be better if people were like, "Oh, wow, what is that about?" And then you talk about it because you know about it, and that would be a dream come true for me in itself too. But in 2013, the Facebook page went from 2012 whatever. Okay, this is before I had the web page. I only had about 50 people that liked the page because or somewhere around 25 to 50 because that's where it kind of when it started, and I didn't really know that many people in my adult age, and I had made this like new Facebook page, personal page where I only had like 100 friends, so I didn't really get much except for whoever was frequently on my personal page. They were the ones who liked the page, the Facebook page I made. So in 2013, the Facebook page hit around 100 likes or follows, whatever. And that was on my birthday. And I remember that day because I remember November 19th. I was in my room. I was living in Seoul, and I was like, man, it'll be a great birthday present to like wake up and see uh, at least 15 more likes on my page. And then I woke up and it was like 100. So I want to thank those first, not just the first 10. I do know who the first 10 are, but we won't be congratulating or thanking them until everything is done. So they're, first 10, uh, you know, stay tuned. But first 100, thank you very much. Anyways, the Facebook page hit around 100. Like I said, USA came to the website and visited 208 times. There were some visits by Saudi Arabia. I'm sure that only one person from Saudi Arabia knew about my website, and they visited about 8 times. Along with Jamaica, Philippines, Poland, and Japan, they all had about 4 or 3 or 2 visits apiece. So, it wasn't really that big. But in 2014, the activity was picking up. I mean, I released my first project at this time. This was the Gospel of the Scariot title, and it was a graphic novel hybrid project where it was like half graphic novel, half handwritten novel, whatever. And I thought I would do it periodically, but man, like I'm not that fast at drawing. Okay, I didn't even have an illustrator at the time. It was just me. Okay, and that was on or around January 7th. And then there were efforts to promote it on January 17th because the original release date was January 17th. And on January 20th, a few days after that was released publicly, I hit around 1,000 followers on Facebook, and that's when I made the second thank you card or whatever, thank you image, and that was about 10 times the followers that I had before. So I want to thank those first 1,000 again. I hope the same 1,000 people, first 1,000 are following. So anyways, on September 11th, we hit about over 9,000 follows on Facebook. You know what I mean? Oh yes, it's over 9,000. No, I'm kidding. So the website picked up viewers by a multiple of 5 times this time. And again, the United States, it was pretty much a seemingly curious audience by the people living at home and everything. They visited the site about 805 times this time. So, take the 208, turn it backwards, add a few more views, and that's how many I got. 805. That was almost 200 away, 200, maybe 195 away from hitting 1,000. So with some assist by me, my students, likely some friends here in South Korea, this country where I live in now came in at second with 169 views. I say that because when I was trying to access my site back when it wasn't Iscariot.com. It was probably something else. No, it was another site that I had, and I couldn't stop getting in. Like I couldn't get into the site because they blocked my account. But I would try to come back and see if I can see it, and that only took about 20 times. So maybe out of the 169 views, that was just me. So I'd say about 140 different people or times. Somebody from South Korea actually visited my site. That's pretty awesome. So, anyways, I started getting activity from Brazil because they were visiting the site often at 151 in that year. Philippines came in fourth at 75 views. Japan came in 33. And I had some friends living in Japan that kind of came in, checked it out. So that was pretty cool. And then midway in the year, I switched from the Gospel of a Scary graphic novel hybrid to just a straight novel. Uh, in respects to the original title, it kept that. It did still keep the Gospel of in the title line, but it got dropped a little later. But that I decided to keep the Gospel of a Scary title only for the name of the collection of works that I'm doing. Like every single thing that I do is part of the gospel. So, you can just keep that in mind. I didn't drop it from the name. It still has a big name. So, anyways, I also thought of the task of doing the graphic novel again, like I said, with a fellow artist that I've picked up, Gladys Patilis, who is also pursuing her own thing. I thought it would be too demanding, so that summer I decided to drop, the whole graphic novel project and work on the format that you see today. And primarily, I will be working on the manuscript, and that's about it. So, and I do some concept work. I do a little bit of art sometimes, but it's only for fun. I'm not really that good at drawing. But, anyways, now to 2015. Okay, 2015. Now you probably wonder, why did I mention 2013 and 14? Well, we didn't have XLCast back then, and XLCast started in 2015, and I didn't really get a good chance to mention the other years in details, but I will talk about 2015 in detail. Okay, so anyways, we got a small jump. Small jump. What I mean is a big jump. Okay, we had a big jump since 2013 and 14, especially with Facebook follows. We had went from 9,000 to 21,000. Okay, I'll talk about that again. But first, let me just say that 2015 was the start of Instagram, and also there's a good handful of people on Instagram that know about this. Okay, they're pretty much competing with my personal Facebook friends over who likes Iscariot the most. Okay, I have strangers who like it better, more than my own personal friends, but and family. But I know that there's unconditional following with my family and friends. And your best friends live with you, they're less likely to actually work hard for you. They're less likely to clean up the room before a stranger does. Strangers usually get stuff done, but family, it takes them a little time. And I also discovered Mexican time. Okay, Mexican time. I didn't know this, but it's pretty natural that I would move by Mexican time. I mean, I'm the kind of guy who likes to move at a relaxed pace. So if you don't like Mexican time, I suggest you try. And if you don't know Mexican time, I suggest you look it up and learn about it and try it out. Maybe you'll like it. Maybe the world will be a better place if we all worked by Mexican time. I mean, I'm Mexican by blood and affiliation, so I think we should look into it. Anyways, on the site, okay, we've increased numbers a lot. We have a few more views, visitors, comments, and likes in comparison to the previous 2 years. On Facebook, we've reached over 21,000 likes. Again, 21,000. That is amazing. That is definitely double the size of 9,000. I mean, it's over 9,000 times 2. I mean, Come on, you guys. Let's look at which countries champion the website, though. First, I will present the honorable mentions that have over 100 views for the year. Okay. Bangladesh, they have 152 years. Japan, 183 for the year. Brazil has 231 and 306 in Pakistan. Pakistan, okay? So I want to thank you all for visiting the site. It's in no order whatsoever of who's the best or anything like that. It's just insight. Who is actually looking at the site the most? And that's pretty much what it all comes down to. Again, in 2013 and 14, the USA held the top spot. And like I said, it was only because, visitors. Visitors were uh, most likely friends and family that just frequently checked to see what was going on from there. Okay. Um, Again, USA was 208, and then USA again 805. So this time let's go ahead and see who was the 2015 champion. So, anyways, without any assist from me, and um, mostly it being visitors from my students throughout Jeju Island and Cheongju. This is when it all started going down. Okay, and other friends online as well. Personal friends from the island and from the mainland. They visited my site about 356 times. That's an improvement from the country that I'm currently living in, and that's almost one viewer a day. So, Korea visited my site again 356 times and dominated the month of May with 88 views. That's amazing. That's good. That's good for the country that I'm in right now. Mhm. And second, well, actually in fourth place, we have Nepal with 625 views. They've dominated the month of November with 207. They were the primary visitors when I was campaigning Iscariot on Instagram for the first time, and they nearly co-dominated this December with less than 3 views away. So, Nepal is a big player in the game. Anyways, in third place, we have Philippines. They came in third with 992 views. They are the big time downloaders of the story and the top dogs all on their own. They made October their month, and they owned it with 587 out of 832 views that month. It's over 400 or more views than any other country. So, Philippines, I want to thank you a lot for that one. And I went to Manila earlier or last year in the summer, a few months ago. And let me tell you, it's one of those countries you gotta go to Philippines like at least once a year, man. I don't know. I wish that I could just go Philippines at least once a year, every year in my life. That's just how it is. Anyways, in second place, this is another country that's been all over the download feed. I mean, they also dominated Instagram activity with Nepal and Bangladesh. They've clicked like over 1,000 times on several of or 4 of my pictures that I put on there, and you probably won't see it because these are again campaign pictures, so they're not a part of the actual photos. But I did get some screenshots of it. Don't think that's a big deal showing the screenshots, and whatever I say it's my word. Okay, so anyways, like I said, second place belongs to Egypt. Okay, they are the major player and they have many frequent visitors that come in. They have about 1,024 visits on my site. That's a lot. I mean, they dominated the hottest months of the year. July with 206 views out of 703, and August with 381 out of 982 visits. I mean, we'll go over the successes I had with Egypt soon. It's pretty straightforward. So, anyways, let's go to the next country. So, this country, although it has very little downloading activity, it still came in first, possibly out of curiosity, or perhaps it's just support all in itself. I mean, they dominated February with 627 out of 989 visits. They've dominated March with views at 205 out of 422 views. They barely topped Philippines at 121 to their 117 at 381 visits. Okay. They took the early summer in June with 53 out of the 150 views, beating Brazil, South Korea, and Thailand combined. In September, like June, it was downtime for the site, so they had a chance to pick up those months with 92 views out of 208. And in the month of December, last month, that was the most successful month of the year. They not only took January, but they took January last year, but they took December just a few days ago. They closed out with it being the most successful month of the entire year for me, for my site. And very similar to their feat in February, they dominated the month with 385 visits out of 1,785 views. And they only beat Nepal by 3 views and Egypt by 60. So with 2,322 total views out of 7,741 for the entire year, and once again, the champion of the year and our world heavyweight. No, I'm kidding. It's the United States of America, my home country. I mean, seemingly they took this one as number one for the third straight year in a row, and we're not even sure if that is going to be forever, because when this book comes out, I mean, I really do hope that it's my home country that, continuously pours their support for this. But there's a lot of others out there who seems to just, when the language barriers are broken, it looks like they're going to go crazy. I don't know. It's just a lot of people are, as you can see, they're very curious about the site. I mean, I'm not really coaxing anybody to come here. It's just like, interested in this, come see this, and then they're coming. It's not like I'm forcing anybody to come in. I mean, I appreciate everyone that comes in. Okay, so with 2016 barely starting, and Egypt is now at number one. But not that many views, but we just started. But Egypt now at number one. I'm wondering which country will likely visit my site the most this time. I mean, I plan to visit some of these top countries in the future for sightseeing mostly, and possibly to promote my book. I mean, who knows? But that's only if I'm published. But for sure, I will owe it to anyone, and I do owe it to everyone for these wonderful statistics, man. This is awesome. Thank you so much. I don't know. I can just say thank you all the time in every language that I know, but I'm just going to go ahead and move forward because we still have some stuff to cover. So let's look at the download count and determine who is indeed number one under the sun. So congrats to USA. Oh my goodness. First off, I want to start off with the introductory verses, because a few of them have been downloaded in 2015. Mostly the alpha and the beta for Japan and Spain. Okay. I released these as previews in hopes to expand my storytelling in other countries, as well as having these stories or my story translated in another language, in the native language in which those countries received. Okay, and I hope to have my story in Spanish so that my family in Mexico, they will be able to understand my aspirations, talents, and my thoughts. I mean, I want this to be like one of the ways, the biggest way of them knowing who I am as a person, before I go off on my own journey of cultural and language learning. So hopefully they'll get a hold of a bigger version. I mean, they only have about like 3 verses, but you know, hitting 30 in English right now. I also released the introduction in Japanese, and having the language in Japanese is probably the most important, one of the most important feats that I hope to conquer, because to me this is how the story began. I mean, watching anime, samurai movies, playing video games, reading mythology, whether it's Chinese or Japanese, whatever. I mean, seeing these elements infused in so many things in the Japanese media made me and brought me to write this story, pretty much. I mean, it's not really too much of taking ideas, but being my own creator. Okay, I had some translators nice enough to volunteer to help my cause, especially uh, Ogasawara Yuka. I hope I said her name right. uh, for Miss Yuka, I want to thank her for sitting with me in Tokyo and agreeing to be a part of my team. And to Shimada Koei, who I met in Dallas, Texas. Hopefully, I get to meet you, man, in Tokyo. It's crazy we haven't seen each other yet. He's been busy, and then when I'm out here working, he's over here in Korea, whatever. So hopefully, I'll get to see him. But anyways, your time looking over my work, that's been extremely helpful. Thank you, man. Again, before I start with these numbers, let me take the time to thank Gladys Patilas from the Philippines. She's the illustrator of my story. I mean, without her production of my story and its promotion, it would be so much slower without her. So again, I want to thank you, Gladys, uh, for being the illustrator of my book and continuing to do so. Even though I wish I could give you every single thing. It seems that she's so cool, just doing it for the love of the story. That's so awesome. Anyways, salamat. Thank you. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and move over to the download count. Anyways, uh, just to say again, or re-clarify, whatever. Sorry, I can't talk right now. My books were written in 4 languages so far, but they've only been published in 3. The one that was the introductory verses that were written in French, they're only awaiting improvements, as there were only 2 verses translated. So hopefully we'll get that out. Oh, French is such a important language all on its own, because I mean, we have Canada, we have France. And we have a lot of French speakers all over the world. I mean, there's a lot in Africa as well. So I mean, this would be a great story to be in French. As uh, there's a lot of literature written in French with heroes in it, and it would be great to have something like this alongside of those stories. Although those are classics. I don't know if I can hang with those, but I'm making the new classics, so they'll have to make a little bit of room for me. Anyways, to start, I will give you the official total count of the downloads by readers of the countries from which the story was written by and for. So first, I'll give the home country counts so that you can get a good idea of who or I'm sorry, the par level. Okay, the United States version, which will be, or the English version of the book, sorry, which is written in American English, because that's the only language I speak in English. Um, we'll be actually comparing numbers against this one. Okay, and first I'll start off with Japan, because it is recently released out of all the other 3. It has about 86 downloads from Google Play alone. That's the Japanese version, the Iscarioto Alpha. That is mostly all Japan downloading on Google Play, and they have a bigger total actually. And Spain, which was translated by Nia Evans, who is now she is now went on her own somewhere out there in the world. But anyways, the Spanish beta, los beta versos. I don't know if I said that right. It should be los versos beta. So that is about 148 downloads in Spain alone. So that's the home country from which that was written, because it was written in Spain's Spanish in Barcelona. Again, the alpha was written in Tokyo, or translated in Tokyo, sorry. And the USA or American English version was written, well, it was conceived in America, but it's all been written in here. Like every single version of the story was written in Korea. I mean, I've never stepped foot in American soil since I've started the novel version, the manuscript of the story. So once that's all done, I'll be taking it back to the States and seeking publishing. So anyways, let's go ahead and move over to the Japanese alpha total download count, total count. The Japanese alpha was downloaded on the website 346 times. So when you add that with 86, you get 432 total downloads. That's 432 different people in the world who know who I am. That's cool. Well, not me, but they know Iscariot, so that's even better. I mean, Noah Iscariot, he is the best, okay? All right, so anyways, for the Spanish beta, we had 302 downloads on the website, but surprisingly, we had 835 downloads through Google. My goodness, the most successful version and introduction of all of my work was done over Google Play for this title alone. And I'll go over some of the top downloaders, the top 5 downloaders, or 6 maybe even, in these countries. So anyways, the total of downloads for this introduction is 1,137. So that's super awesome. I mean, I don't know. I don't have any other words to explain how awesome it is. Just epic. Okay, so here are the 6 top downloaders. Venezuela and Colombia both tied at 40 downloads. Ecuador has 41 downloads, only just barely 1 download. You know, just awesome. You made it up there in 4th place. Okay, the United States, which this may be the most successful download for me from the United States, because they've only downloaded it about 89 times, and that's likely supporters, maybe even family, so that's cool. Okay, the Spanish, the home country, in Spain, they've downloaded the story 148 times, so they're the ones who went over the 100 download mark. And Mexico downloaded it at 541. They are the top dogs. Thank you, Mexico. Muchas gracias. You are all numero uno. I'm terrible at Spanish. I'm sorry. I wish I was better. Anyways, you're the best. Thank you so much. That was the Spanish beta. And you know, Spanish is a big country. Excuse me for that one. It is a big language, and it's in many countries. I still can't talk right now because it is 3:40 p.m. and for some magic reason I just woke up before I got to this. Like, I was sleeping all day. I left the light on. Okay, so I'm so mad at myself for sleeping with the light on. That never really happens unless I'm super duper tired. Okay, so anyways, moving on to the Delta, which was the one of the later installments. Okay, remember that I created periodically released editions of my story. First, I started with an alpha, which was kind of like a comic, but then I went and did a beta for in English. I did a beta which had like 3 chapters, and then after the beta was the gamma with another 3 chapters, or verses as I call it. And then there was an epsilon, or sorry, there was a delta version, but it changed to the Neo Alpha, which contains all the old material, and the Alpha was rewritten, which is like the beta kind of. So they were kind of rewritten to kind of fit into this bigger anthology. Then I released the Delta, the Epsilon. So we're going to be looking at the first book of 2015 in English, the Delta. It had a lot of website downloads. It had 4,295. This was coming out of like the Neo Alpha from the year before, which had over 11,000 downloads. So coming back to the Delta, I think there was a lot of downloads and readers for the Alpha, reading it slowly. So of course the numbers will be down a bit. 4,295 website downloads plus the 29. It was kind of because it's in English. A lot of the people who go on Google Play, they don't really download anything on there. I think mostly because if it's like a book or something, they don't want to put their credit card in just for a book. I mean, they'll download the games and stuff for free, the free games and all, because, well, one, it's free, and you don't quite need a card to get free games, but you do need to have a card for books, and that's a problem. And Google needs to fix that. That way download counts can go up. Anyways, the total for Delta downloads were 4,324. That's so cool. And I have a top 6 for that. Pakistan came in 6th with 139 downloads. Bangladesh, 145. And if you don't know, they do speak English there. A lot of people do speak English in those countries. Maybe not their first language, but they do. Egypt, 287 downloads, so they put themselves on the map with this one. Saudi Arabia, 303 downloads. Thank you, Saudi Arabia. Thank you. Shukran. Nepal, 523 downloads. That's so cool. And again, a big shukran to Iraq, 564. That is big. And it's crazy because I used to live in Iraq. So I want to thank you guys. I mean, if it was just possible, I would come out there and hug every single one of you. And of course, to number 1, the Philippines, with 1,725 downloads. I don't think anything can beat that. But let's just keep checking. Okay. So Epsilon came out some months later, and there were 812 downloads on the site. Okay, it's a lot less, but again, like I said, with the Neo Alpha being so big, I don't think a lot of people actually noticed the Epsilon was a newer thing. And also, well, I wasn't really campaigning through the Epsilon because I already knew I was making the next thing. And I think that's what people want to see. They want to see first what you're going to do next. So, had just a few website downloads and a few Google downloads, which came out to 13. So when you put those numbers together, total download count was 825. This was probably the first download that USA had the most of. Although they didn't get to 100, they got to 67, which was in the top 3. Egypt had 74, beat USA out of that one. And then Philippines, of course, the most loyal of all readers, 146. So they, came in and said, sorry guys, but we're number 1, and downloaded it. And the Epsilon is no longer available, of course, because it has been fitted into another version of the book, another anthology called the Zeta. And that was when I recampaigned. I didn't campaign in the beginning until like the end. Okay, like maybe the summer and a little bit into the end of the year, last year, which was November, pretty much November. And I did this because it was my birthday. Hey, what's up? It's your birthday. Get my stuff. So, anyways, website downloads went right back up, shot back up. Maybe not to as strong as the Delta's numbers, but they shot back up to 3,278 downloads on the site with 60 on Google Play. So add that together and you get 3,383 total downloads. The USA came back for the first time ever. They reached 100 downloads. Actually, they have 105 downloads total. Awesome. Thank you, America. USA. USA. So, as you can see, USA might not have over 500 downloads, but what I was going for. I mean, I do know 200 people in America and USA, and I'm actually quite surprised that I didn't really reach the numbers that I was hoping. But I think that with the Zeta 105 downloads is actually the same amount of United States Americans who are following my page. So I think this is a really good number. I mean, 100% on the mark with followers on the Facebook page. So it seems like some people do recognize the skills. They recognize the story. All right, thank you, America. I have a very positive outlook on you and where you're going in the future. Okay, hope to see that number quadruple or even, I don't know, multiply by a larger number that I can't count on my fingers. But anyways, thank you, USA. Indonesia actually beat America with 122 downloads in the first quarter alone. And I didn't really campaign in Indonesia because I'm not really familiar with the place, and I do wish to go there and visit to see what it's like. But before I do, of course, I just want to say thank you, Indonesia. I haven't been there yet, and I don't know what you speak yet, but I do know that you've downloaded my story 122 times, and I want to thank you. Also in Pakistan, they came in next. Okay, they are in 5th place with 341 downloads because they just want to be the best. And for that, you are. Thank you, Pakistan. 341 downloads total. In the Philippines, they've downloaded the story 413 times, being in 4th place. I think maybe they're still kind of focusing on finishing my story as well as other stories, as Philippines is a big country for reading. If you want your story to be read, Philippines is the place, everybody. Bangladesh, they came in 3rd place. They make me so proud because they downloaded my story 406 times. Okay, actually, may I switch those places? Okay, Philippines is actually in the top 3, and Bangladesh is actually number 4. So again, I want to apologize about those numbers, but I just made that calculation just now. Sorry, I'm looking at 1 plus 1 is 2, 2 plus 3. Not really looking at the total count, but as it seems, Bangladesh, 4th place, 376 on the website, 1 download in the later quarter of the year, and then at the end of the year, they downloaded the story about 29 times. So total, that's 406. Philippines, in the first quarter of promotion, 155. Second promotion quarter, 23, and the last 235. So actually, Philippines should be 3rd place. Again, excuse me, you guys, but you guys are both equally number 1 in my book. Thank you so much. Again, these are top reading countries. A lot of these people speak more than 1 or 2 languages. So again, I want to thank them for taking the time to use my story as a benchmark for their understanding of the English language, even though America is not really the primary place of English. Right now, the United States is primarily speaking it de facto. And I want to thank you guys for using that, and hopefully we can have a great relationship with each other. Anyways, in 2nd place, and in no mistakes whatsoever, no more mistakes from here on out, Nepal, 565, almost made a mistake. 565 total downloads in the first quarter, having 495 which was their strongest in 36 and 34. A little later, they did a great job coming in second, and number one was the one of the dominators of the end of the year, Egypt. They downloaded the story at number one with 614 downloads. You're the greatest, you guys. You're the greatest. Okay, you are the top downloaders of the Zeta. Okay, so I want to thank you. You are number one for the English version of my story, and perhaps the and I will talk about this a little later, the last version of my free works. So thank you a lot, Egypt. You are so great. Thank you. Now, putting all these numbers together, we have to see who is actually number one, because with the United States taking the title as the number one visitor of the website, we have to be for sure that they come in place with the top three or in the top three. Now, unfortunately for the United States, although they are the most frequently visiting country of all year for 3 years, sorry to say that they did not make the top 5. They probably made the top 15, but not the top 5. But still, go USA, right? Anyways, in the top 3 downloading countries of all time for 2015, and probably will be, this will be maybe the last time I ever boast about any free work, because 2015 was a very successful year for Iscariot, especially compared to the other years. And I hope that in the future, 2016 or 17 or whatever, Iscariot will be the best. It will be the bomb. Okay, so anyways, let's start with number 3. At 975 total downloads, Egypt is the king of 3. Okay, the king of 3. And then with 1,088 downloads is that new monster, Nepal. They made it. They got it. They are something to be feared, even by the king himself. They are kind of like the demigod and the gods, with 2,284 total downloads. The supreme in all of the universe, according to, well, my download count, is the Philippines with number 1. Okay, you guys are so awesome. I just have to, I mean, my whole thing is that sometime in 2016, I'm going to find a person in the Philippines and I'm going to hug them. I'm going to hug them so hard because of this. And you get to share the joy and the power from me to you with everyone. For everyone. I don't know if that makes sense. I'm just talking. But anyways, again, that is amazing. And if your country isn't called, that is okay. There are numerous people all over the world who visited this page from time to time, from Russia to Canada, Taiwan, Malaysia, South Africa, and Kenya. I mean, don't worry about those numbers. Don't worry. Just keep coming back and believe in me, because I believe that 2016, although it'll be a slow year for any more preview downloads, and Zeta being the last free item that I release, I believe that it will be slow. That's okay, because right now I'm busy working on the manuscript for Iscariot Sphere of Light. And with that story being 10 pages away, the official version of the story being 10 pages away from official completion, I'm hoping to get any feedback about my story, whether it's good or bad, long or short. Just give me the critique. Give me something that you like to see. Tell me what you liked. Tell me what your favorite character is, favorite scene from the story. Maybe make a suggestion if you want. I might not be able to fit it in, but I'll be able to think about fitting it in. And that's the best thing I can get, okay, from you. Anyways, before I go, I want to thank every single person for taking part in making my dream as a writer and a creator come true. And I want to also thank you ahead of time for anyone who is helping to bring others to my story. And also, I want to thank some people right off the bat for supporting me hardcore on my work, especially for my mother. I want to thank you for just this infinite amount of support. Okay, my cousin Dora, she had a picture of my character on her Facebook page, her cover and display for 3 months. Actually, it was over 3 months. I think it was like 3 months and 19 days. I don't know anybody else who would have any of our illustrations on their site, because that makes people interested sometimes, especially the first time when it's posted. So anyways, I want to thank my friend and greatest supporter, Kim Landry, for just following and commenting and liking and everything. I mean, there's nothing that she doesn't like. It's awesome. Thank you. You're the best. The best of all the best. The best of the rest. And Hilda Sanchez, again, thank you for the early translations of words on my Facebook. Like you and Dora and Ana, my cousins Ana and Dora, and Cindy Benitez, some of you who've all helped me translate some of the words and even taught me a little bit of Spanish in the process. I want to thank you, my students from Seoul, Jeju, Cheongju, who follows my story and posts. Thank you so much. Misha from Moscow, Russia, for her $1 donation. That was the biggest donation of all time. So Russia wins the cake for that one. Russia wins because they're giving me the biggest donation, monetary donation of all time. Well, not of all time, sorry. There was a Kickstarter where I had like $222. But in Russia, this year in 2015, the most monetary donation I've ever received was $1 from Misha, and I want to thank you so much. All my friends from who play Phantasy Star Online 2, who's entered the contest, Marcos and Miguel for winning the last two contests, and the all of my friends who and family who participated in the Hello Kitty contest. Thank you so much. Okay, that was extremely sweet of you, by the way, Misha. Thank you. And to my friends, my friend Daniel Artley and my cousin Vanessa for allowing me those countless nights of sleeping on your floor. Oh, and even that bed that is old, but still, when I had nowhere else to stay, you gave me that place to start this work. I don't know, I just continue to thank you guys like all the time. Okay, thank you so much. Anyways, I might be missing out on some names, but I gotta really cut this short and get some fresh air. I mean, I need to go outside at least. It's 3:59. I'm about to miss all of today. I should be in Seoul eating like tacos or something. I don't know. But anyways, I'll be sure to leave some more thank yous out in public when the time comes. So anyways, enjoy the new year and have a wonderful day. Okay, this is Marcus Medina of Iscariot Sphere of Light, signing off.